Hello and welcome along to WD18, the Watford fan channel, for the first official video of the 2024-25 season. And I know what you're thinking. It's been 2 weeks since our last one, which is the end of the 23-24 season. But you guys wanted it. You guys requested it. We had a few DMs popping off about our keep, sell, loan video and podcast. And that's what we're going to be doing today with Sam Ucko, Charlie Zazzera, and myself, Jacob Culshaw. Sam, it's a beautiful Sunday, as the Watford admin said. How was your Sunday at Wembley?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to the League Two playoff final today. But what was even better was when I got home, I was able to sit down. I was able to have some nice downtime. And yeah, in this heat, I know it's difficult sometimes when the heat is almost it's almost verging on almost 40 points. But I was able to survive in difficult conditions, unlike some, to be honest with you.
Charlie, anything to add on your Sunday?
No, sorry, I cut in Sam's quality joke there. Glorious Sunday. Glorious Sunday.
Did you get the reference? Luton have been relegated. Just to reiterate, just to clarify, if anyone's missed that. Charlie, I know your girlfriend's a City fan. Has it been insufferable? Has it been okay?
Do you know what? It's been absolutely fine. She's actually hungover today, so like celebrations are a bit more muted than they have been. So, yeah, I guess I'll get dragged to another parade. But thinking about Man City and looking at their players compared to about what we're about to do is going to be a bit different.
It's probably one of the biggest videos of the year, just on YouTube in general, to be honest, let alone Watford YouTube. It is our keep, sell, loan video. And I don't normally do this, but I kind of look back on some videos that we've done over the channel. And I think this is the fourth one we've done. So the first one we ever did was going into the Cisco promotion season. Then when we got promoted back into the Premier League, and then I think there was a break, right, Sam? And then me and you did one last year. And I don't think, Charlie, you were about for that one. So I think this is Charlie's first ever keep, loan or sell video. The main thing first off is if you're watching live, let us know in the comment section your thoughts. We'll pop them on screen. We'll get them going between the lads to discuss. If you're listening to this back and watching this back, let us know what you think in the comment section. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And it is the first video of the 24-25 season. So if you could subscribe to the channel and follow us on our social channels at WD18 fans, that we massively appreciate. This is the first of many videos to come ahead of next season and obviously in the season as well. So if you are watching live, you can see that we've got a graphic very well prepared, as always, by Mr. Zazzera, with all the players currently contracted to Watford on the left-hand side. We've then got the three categories of keep, loan, and sell. So we'll start with the goalkeepers, through the defenders, midfielders, and then attackers. Lads, anything else we need to mention before we start? We have made a few notes just to maybe chuck in a few contract dates, all that good stuff. But is there anything else I missed, Sam, from the last year?
So are we doing this according to what we want to happen or what we realistically think will happen?
Now, that is a fantastic question. Now,
thank you, Jacob. Thank you.
I would say, and let me know what you think, lads, I think we do it on what we want to happen.
That changes a few of mine already.
It does change things. Now, the thing is, if we were going to go for predictions, I think, we'll make it very, very clear. This is what me, Sam, and Charlie want to happen with this Watford squad going into next season. And there probably will be some disagreement points on this. We will go with the majority 2 versus 1, etc. on certain players. And I guess the first one to kick off, which I know is a bit of a divisive player in the Watford fan base, is Daniel Backline, who started last season as club captain, fell out of the team. Wesley Hoot became captain, came back into the team under Tom Cleverley. Tom Cleverley is the head coach. So, Sam, knowing all of that and knowing he signed a 5-year contract at the start of last season, where do you put him on these three categories? It's a difficult one to start with.
Yeah, I'd actually argue it's one of the most difficult ones on the list, to be honest with you. Last summer, obviously, he signed a 5-year contract, and it's going to be difficult to find a club, I think, to pay the money for him. In an ideal world, I probably would have moved him on last summer. And despite a strong end to the season, I'd probably move him on this summer as well. So I'd probably put Daniel Backline in sell.
Charlie?
I know we're saying it's like what we want, but there has to be like a degree of realism, because otherwise we'd be left with 3 players.
That's what I mean, though, because I know in reality we will keep Daniel Backline. There's no one who's going to, spend that money on a goalkeeper with him having just signed a deal. And I do like Dan. I'm not going to be disappointed if he stays at all. I just think it might be time for a new goalkeeper.
Yeah, I just think our priorities unfortunately, where we were, I think it was a bit higher up maybe before he got his contract last season. For me, goalkeeper is going to be like a low priority this season, looking at the squad as a whole. So I'd keep Dan. Jacob?
Yes, I think I would keep Dan. I wouldn't keep him as our number one, but I would keep him in and around the squads. I think it makes sense. So I'm going to go with Daniel Backman to keep. Sam's going to sell, but unfortunately, I cannot edit this, Charlie, so you might have to do it for me. I was thinking, is this spreadsheet doesn't want me to keep Daniel Backman, is what I'm saying. We've had a few comments. Josh says Backman will probably play the next 3 years as number one. Charlotte says, not sure there'll be a queue of people looking to sign Dan. Bedler says, we've been linked with that goalkeeper in Portugal. That is a really interesting point. And I know a lot of people have talked about this goalkeeper in particular because there's a 10 million euro release clause in his contract at this moment in time. And that goalkeeper is Ricardo Velho, who plays SC for Fernese in the Portuguese league. And Watford have been in contact with his representatives about a transfer. That doesn't mean that we will sign him for 10 million euros. But there seems to be a rumour that keeps popping up here and there. Whether that transpires, we'll have to wait and see. So, Charlie, we're going to go with Daniel Backman in the keep section. Moving on to Ben Hamer, Samuel.
I'd keep him. I think he showed last season that he had a fantastic run of form. At one point in the season, you could have argued that he was our player of the season. I think as a number 2 or a number 3, someone who brings experience to the squad, someone who showed his value last season, I'd keep Ben Hamer.
Ben Hamer, I think that's a no-brainer, right, Charlie?
Well, he's actually out of contract in the summer, so it's a decision that the club's going to have to make. I think, me personally, from his performances this season, I think he's deserved one. And like I said about priorities, I can't see us going for. I don't think getting a goalkeeper is going to be a priority for the summer. So I think Ben, when he was playing last season, was excellent. To be honest, like the amount of goals he contributed, I thought he was probably a bit harshly dropped. So I think to have Dan and Ben is fine.
Yeah,
so I'd keep him there.
Because normally the dynamic with the 3 goalkeepers, right? You have your number 1, number 2, and number 3, obviously, but you have like your main guy, someone who could maybe jump in like a Hamer if Backman was injured, and then you have a younger keeper like Miles Roberts that we have at the moment. We're interested to see how this one develops. I to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we did release Hamer just with his age and whether we want to give him a contract that he probably wants. I don't think we will. But if it was me, I would keep Hamer in and around the squad. And from what I've heard, you know, he's someone that the players like, and he's part of that leadership group, wasn't he, at the start of the season? So in terms of his experience in the Championship, I'm going to go keep, I think. Sam?
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, sort of thinking back to it, one of my favourite Watford goalkeeper unions that we've seen over the years was back in the FA Cup final season with Ben Foster, Aurelio Gomez, Pontus Dahlberg. And I think what worked really well with that was you have your starting goalkeeper in Ben Foster, that really experienced head. I know Foster was also experienced in Aurelio Gomez, and that younger keeper in Pontus Dahlberg. I think it is important. We've had Rob Elliott over the years as well, haven't we? To have that experienced head in there for the younger goalkeeper as well to learn from.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to put Ben Hamer into that keep bracket. Having said that, we have just had a bit of a comment live on the channel, kind of breaking news really, from Lou Orns. And Lou Orns is really good sources on sort of what's happening with Watford and the transfer news, etc. And as far as he's aware, Ben Hamer has been released by Watford Football Club, and that is the same with Jake Livermore, which is something to bear in mind going forward into this keep, sell, and loan video. Just Charlie, your initial thoughts on that. So Hamer and Livermore, according to Lou, have been released. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, like before we did this, and I sent you guys it, and maybe I can show it up at the end of this stream, like the squad depth chart for each position. And first time in a while, I was kind of worried about next season, just looking at our squad, and I thought it would be kind of short-term solutions, signing on Ben Hamer and Jake Livermore for one more year. Kind of experienced pros, leaders who are going to help us out next season, which I think we're going to need it. So if that's the case, there's going to be some activity in January if we're willing to let go. Because if we're just going with Backman and Miles Roberts, what happens with one of them injured? We've got we've got another 2 young keepers, but yeah, it's interesting.
Something to bear in mind going forwards. But from what we understand at this moment in time, it's not official. I would keep Ben Hamer as a number 3, and I'd bring in a number 1 with Batman, Hamer, and then a new number 1. Because I would send Miles Roberts out on loan, Sam, because I feel like a young keeper needs to be going out and playing. Is that a fair assessment on his development?
Spot on. Yeah, goalkeeper's got to be going out and playing minutes in men's football. I think a loan, but obviously it hinges, because if Ben Hamer is going out on loan, then we'd probably have to keep him, wouldn't we?
For sure. Charlie, any objections with that one?
No, all good.
Okay, we move on. So that's the goalkeeper situation sorted. But just lastly on the goalkeepers, I know, Charlie, you said it's not a priority. I think I would be quite keen to bring in a number 1 based on the quality of keepers we have at this moment in time. Having said that, I don't think it's probably one of Cleverley's priorities, because Batman's played really well, I think, towards the back end of last season. I know the pressure is off. I know he's going to play well with Tom Cleverley, and he is a confidence goalkeeper. But I guess the question for you, Sam, is whether Cleverley wants one or not. Do you think we should be going out and getting a number 1 like Velio, who has been linked with a move? He's 25 years old. He's playing in top flight football in Portugal. Would that be something that we should be looking at, a keeper of that caliber?
Yeah, I'm not sure if £10 million is where we should be spending our money, assuming that our transfer budget is slightly limited. And I'm not sure where I saw it. It might have been an Andrew French article suggesting that those rumours weren't necessarily as true as people were saying. But I think I agree with you, Jacob. Like I said, I'd sell Daniel Backman. I know you two overruled me to put him in keep, but I think a new number 1 is necessary in the summer.
For sure. Okay, we move on to the back line, and the next one is Jeremy Ngakia. And if we look at his contract, he's someone that he has, again, not officially announced by the club, but from what we understand and did a bit of digging on the FA website, he has signed a new contract at Watford. And correct me if I'm wrong, lads, it was looking at about 4 or 5 years. It was a long-term deal from what I was reading. So when you take that all into account, Charlie, and you think of Jeremy Ngakia, someone who's had a very much a rocky road at Watford in terms of injuries, in terms of playing time, in terms of different managers, and just his whole spell in general, where would you put him in the 3 categories available?
Yeah, again, kind of same rationale, really, what I said about the squad depth. I can kind of see why the club gave him that contract, because otherwise we're going to have no players. And I think if you look at Ngakia's performances last season, especially the QPR one, he was excellent. He's not going to be a lot of money. I know the big issue with him is his injuries, and if he's unavailable, then he's pretty useless for us. But if he's a player who can support Ryan Andrews, and again, not a priority, because we're not going to be going for a number 1 right back, are we, over Ryan Andrews? So to have him as a backup right back, don't hate it at all. I'd keep him.
Yeah, I'd keep Sam.
Yeah, I probably would keep. I just wonder if I'm not sure. I'm not the most knowledgeable on contracts. I do wonder though if the new contract is to make him more of a sellable asset, if that makes sense. Almost easier for clubs to get him, potentially lower wages, lower compensation to Watford. I'm not too sure on how this sort of thing works, but I wonder if that was the thinking with his new contract. I know he signed a new deal, but it still wouldn't shock me if he did leave this summer.
How much does this rely on his injury record as well? Because if we take into account that new contract, we take into account his time at Watford. If we look at his sort of age at this moment in time, Jeremy Ngakia, he's 23 years old. He's been here since 2020. Obviously, joined from West Ham when his contract ran out on a free transfer. Would you be tempted to sell when you look at the other names on here? And one name that's particularly stood out to me is João Ferreira, who went on loan to Udinese, and I completely forgot that he's going to be coming back to Watford, and he still is Watford's player. Does that change things for you, Charlie, at all when you think of that context with him?
If we were to sell him, how much would we get for him?
He's valued at around €1.5 million, which is about £1 million.
Really? I can't see a club going for it, especially with his injury record. I just think with the state we're in terms of squad depth, Ferreira, I can't remember him playing for us that much. I know he kind of looked lively and quick. He's gone to Udinese. I haven't looked at how he's done out there. I think he's played quite a few games for them. But I think he was a Ben Manga signing, wasn't he? And he was 2 million. And I think that was kind of seen as a failure. I can't see Ferreira coming back at all. If we are moving on to him, he'd be more of a sell, because I think we'd get more from him than we would in Ngakia.
Yeah, he's a fascinating one, isn't he, Sam? Because as Charlie said, you can't really remember any performances of note. It was under Chris Wilder, if I remember correctly, where it was towards the back end of that season. Obviously, joined in January with Ben Manga, and it was a Helena Costa. Was it Helena Costa's suggestion, or that was the rumour anyway? I don't think it actually was in the end. I quite like the look of Ferreira. I thought technically he was a good player. Probably suited Italian football a little bit more maybe than the Championship. But when you look at him, is there any part of you which thinks we need to bring him back at all costs?
No, I don't think so. I think he's probably better suited to Italian football, like you say. He did give me big Daryl Janmaat vibes as well when he did play. And he did come in as part of that Portuguese duo that came in with Enrique Rouge when Ben Manga and Helena Costa came in. But yeah, I don't think if we're jumping to João Ferreira now, I'd probably put him in Cell, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cell just because I think it's very unlikely that he's going to come back.
Yeah, just interesting because we're seeing like in the comments a lot of people kind of edging towards maybe we'd keep him or he should be starting for us. I just looked at him quickly on transfer market. He's played 34 games this season in Serie A. 17, according to transfer market, he's been playing at centre back. 10 right wing back. So to play in Italy's top tier, and he looks like he's played the majority of games. It is an interesting one. For me, though, I'm just a bit, we don't want to stunt Ryan Andrews' development for me if Ferreira goes back in. And the fact that they got Ferreira out the door so quickly indicates something to me.
Yeah, and granted, I know Udinese haven't had a great season. And to be fair, they will go to the final day about their fate in Serie A. They're on 34 points after 37 games with 1 game left. And Empoli are 1 point behind in 18th. So that's a fascinating one. I think even if I look at it now, even Calgary could go down technically or could be thrown into the mix at some point, all the way up to 14th. So it's a really fascinating one in Serie A with 3 or 4 teams who are in that mix at this moment in time. But yeah, I think for João Ferreira, when you think of like sellable assets, he's the one that you probably could get a bit of cash for.
Definitely. Ironically, I think actually, I know Udinese drew 1-0. They equalised in like the 110th minute, but it was actually Mbani Yang who scored for the other team, if we remember him. So going back to Jeremy Ngakia, the last thing on him, I have been thinking that maybe they haven't announced the new contract because they're going to try and sell him in the summer. I think this contract is there to make him more sellable, if that makes sense.
You got some suspicions over the contract, Sam?
Just got a feeling. In the know, not in the know. I don't know anything, but it's my guess.
So we all agree João Ferreira sell, but even if it is sell, when we say to Udinese, it's not really selling, it's very much just swapping. But there we go. Someone actually mentioned in the comment section, I would prefer Ferreira over Ngakia. John says, yeah, he's played right centre-back for Udinese this season. Cash in on him if possible. Greg, good to see you. Udinese like Ferreira. And Ian says, Sam, you're preparing to become an agent. That's what people are going forward. Keep Sell on low with Sam Ucko, the agent. Moving on to Francisco Sierralta, Sam. This is an interesting one with Sierralta when you look at sort of his contract at this moment in time. So his expires in June 2027. He's 27 years old. He's been at the football club since 2020, obviously in that promotion duo with William Truce-de-Kong. Had his injury problems like in Ngakia as well, maybe not as prone, but has definitely had some. And you do feel sometimes when you watch him that he looks like he's close to pulling a hamstring. But Sam, when you take that all into account, where does he fit on this for you at this moment in time?
I'm going to break Charlie's heart here.
Don't you dare!
I really, really like Sierralta. And I think towards the end of the season, was it Sierralta who showed these like ridiculous bursts of pace in a couple of games towards the end?
Oh yeah, that's why I got Charlie a bug.
He's gearing up. I think he did on the whole though lose a yard throughout last season, and I don't think he looks like the same player that we had in that first promotion year. I know 27 is not necessarily old for a footballer, but I think if we can move him on, I would. So I'd go sell.
Charlie?
No, I'd keep him. By the way, when did he get a new contract? Did he? Like the fact I looked as well, and the fact that he's got a contract until 2027. Surely we didn't give him a 7-year deal when we signed him.
Given him an extension, mustn't he?
It's mad that, but yeah, I agree with most of Sam's points in terms of he's not going to be the future of our defence. But we've got Porto, Hoot, Pollock, and Sirauta as our 4 centre backs.
Would you say they were good enough last season? Collectively.
I think they were probably one of our strongest units. I know there's not many, but
I think
defensively, especially first half under Val, we weren't bad. Like it was more the attack. So, you think our defense is one of our weakest areas?
I don't think it's one of our weakest areas. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a strong defense, but my thinking is, I really like Matty Pollock. I like Wes Hoot. I like Porteous, but I also want to get an upgraded centre back, and we don't need 5-6 centre. I mean, we don't need 5-6 centre backs at the club.
We do if we're playing 3 at the back, and I know loads of people are saying, "Oh, we're going to move to a 4-3-3," but all the evidence under Tom has been.
But consider out playing the 3. Wouldn't you want to get rid and then bring in someone who could potentially adapt better to the 3?
Yeah, then we still have 4 centre backs.
Bring in a couple more then. But then we still have to move on.
so I've got the deciding vote with this one, haven't I? So Sam, you've gone sell, Charlie's gone keep, and if I was going to weigh up the pros and cons of Sierra, he's very much a player where I think there's definitely pros and cons at a similar level. The pros are for me is that he still is only 27. He can play multiple positions, which I don't think we should sniff at. The fact he can fill in at DM, centre back, in a back 3. Yeah. The Chile and Pirlo in a 6. Kenny, I think he's played at right back once in his career as well. But the point is, he can fill in a few different positions, I think, for Watford, which in a championship season, you will at some point have to have someone who's moulded into another position. The other part of me is kind of leaning towards Sam in the sense that could we get in someone, i.e. Udinese, and you think of the guy who's been linked before, is it Tikvic, the Croatian centre-back, who's 19? Could you maybe do a swap deal and get in someone who's a younger, bit more athletic in the back line, who can provide us an option there?
He's left-footed as well, isn't he?
He is left-footed, so it gives us that backup to Wesley Hoot. I think I'm going to go keep for the meantime, but if you said to me, would you have a swap deal with Tikvic, I probably would opt for that because I do think we need another left centre-back, especially if we're going to play a back 3 at times. And Wesley Hoot actually, bizarrely, went from left centre-back, didn't he, all the way to centre-back. So we do need a left-footed centre-back. So I think for now, I'm going to go with keep with Sierralta. But if we do bring in another centre-back, I would be tempted to move him on. But I think his versatility is probably what's just edged it for me when I look at what he can bring into this team and what you can bring over the course of the championship season. Sierralta goes in to keep. Wesley Hoot, club captain, probably one of the easiest ones to do, lads.
Is he out of contract?
So when you look at his contract
next
situation,
summer,
it's 2025. His contract runs out, Sam.
My thinking is, obviously, I want to keep Wes. I love Wes. I think he's great. If he doesn't sign a new deal and an offer comes in, do you cash in? Both of you, that's a question. And the comments as well.
You can cash in on your club captain. And even then, Sam, how much money are we going to get for Hoot at this stage of his career?
Yeah, that's true. I'd keep. I love Wes.
yeah.
You love when he threw at that bombshell and then it just kind of retracted it as quickly as possible.
A question back, though, is should he be getting a new contract this summer? Because if we let that run down again, we're losing potentially our captain on a free.
Yeah, we debated this on one of our last videos towards the end of the season, didn't we? And I originally said I wouldn't, and then I changed my mind after listening to I think it was your answer, Jacob. I'd extend it by a year.
I think a year extension makes sense. I think for me, it's a no-brainer. You've got, I think, Hoot, from what he's given us last season in terms of his leadership as well, you can't be moving on your club captain, in my opinion. That's one you've just got to nail down straight away. Having said that, and there's great comments coming through about his interview with Andrew French, Charlie, and Sam. I don't know how much of you lads read of it, but Sam, it was pretty damning actually in terms of some of the comments. I will just get some of the exact quotes up in just a second. But Sam, did you catch that article?
I did. I think the quote that stuck out was something like one of the last lines was, "I don't want to be playing for 15th in the championship," or something along those lines. I think it was.
Yeah,
which did stick out, and that does get me thinking again. Obviously, I want to keep him. If he's not signing that new contract, and an offer comes in from another higher up championship side, which isn't completely unlikely because one of the best performing centre backs in the league last season, according to Who Scored. It wouldn't shock me if Wesley Hoot isn't here come next season. I'd just say that.
Really? Wow. So just looking at some of the quotes that he said in that interview with Andrew French, he said, our Christmas period and our January transfer window was simply not good enough. He also said, as Sam said, that he doesn't want to be playing for a team that's playing in 15th. I don't know whether that's just the way Hoot's personality is made up there, if that makes sense. I feel like he's quite a straight talking guy, and he probably was just like, look, let's cut the BS. Let's get straight down to it. He's been asked the question. He's not going to shy away from it. I actually quite liked it. Yeah, it might not go down well with Gino, but I think we need a bit of that.
I liked it, yeah. It a bit reminded me of Chris Wilder's interviews towards the end of last season when he was just completely honest. And I think that's needed, particularly as fans. We want honesty from people inside the club like that.
We've had a few comments. John says, sounds like he's taking shots at Gino. Wendover on year extension, no chance at this stage of his career. He'll want more security than that, at least 2 years. Just joined from Skyboy74, keeping Nketiah, get rid of him. So this is what these were split opinions. And Josh says Hoot is far too good to sell. I think Wesley Hoot goes into that keep bracket. Other centre back though, Charlie, Ryan Porteous, who will be at the Euros this summer with Scotland.
Yeah, looking forward to that. It'd be interesting to compare his performances for Scotland on the biggest stage compared to at Vicarage Road. I think what he was asked to do, especially under Val, made him look a lot worse than he was. I think under Cleverley, we said he was probably one of the most improved players. Hopefully that continuity under Clevs next season can see him become a really good centre-half for us. Again, I like him as a right centre-back. If we go for four at the back, him and Wesley Hoots, I think, is pretty strong for the Championship. So he's a keep all day long for me.
Agreed. Sam, any objections to that one?
Definitely not. Definitely no objections. I definitely keep Ryan Porteous. I think he's really improved under Tom Cleverley. We know there's liabilities to his game. I still think he's rash and jumps in too quickly occasionally, but I think that's what you get with Ryan Porteous.
Yeah, agreed. Just a quick heads up, by the way. Obviously, we are going through some of the players at this moment in time. It'll be interesting to see whether they move on or stay at the football club. We're going to be covering all the transfer rumours and news on WD18 on our socials at WD18 fans. So if you haven't yet followed us, make sure you do go and check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that jazz. All the links are in the description below to get involved there. And thanks so much to everyone who's watching and listening, all the way over to James Morris, who is our only contracted left back at the football club at this moment in time. And I guess that does mean, Charlie, that we haven't really got any other choice but to keep him at this moment in time. But is that left back spot a serious priority for the club come this summer?
Yeah, it is certainly. Again, like I looked at it earlier, if we play with wing backs, Sema, when he came back, looked strong, and we know what Ken can do if he plays a full season. I don't think Ken at left wing back all season would be bad, but I do think we need a left-sided defensive player 100%. James Morris, I just think we know exactly what we're going to get from him. I think every time he plays, he's solid. He had a bad game at Middlesbrough, didn't he? I didn't really watch that one last game of the season, but I really like James. Whenever he's played, I thought he's done well. He's just got really limited minutes, so it's hard to see any development. But he's obviously a keep because he's got no one else, and there could be an opportunity for him to get a bigger run in the team next season. Looking at some of the comments, Sam, Lou Warren said, I'd loan Morris to a League One club to see what he can do under a full season. I actually agree with that. I think a loan would make a lot of sense for James Morris, genuinely. But it would mean, as Sean says, he thinks we should sell Morris, not good enough in my opinion, but go and sign 2 new left-backs. Position has been neglected for years. I know you've agreed on that last line about sort of the position, but that situation with Morris, I agree with Lou Warren's. I'd send him out on loan and make that left-back spot a priority.
Yeah, I'm actually leaning towards loan as well. I really like James Morris, actually. I think he's someone who's been scapegoated quite a few times for no clear reason, because we know he's not the world's best left back, but he is relatively solid, and you know you're going to get a 5-6 out of 10 from him every time he plays. The one concern, though, like we said, if he goes, we got no left backs, and we really need to address that position ASAP in the window. So I'm sort of, if it was a Venn diagram, I'd be between keep and loan. Pushing me on it, I'd go loan, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go loan. I think also we need to fill up that column as well. We can't just have Miles Roberts in there. So James Morris, we're going to send out on loan to a League One club and see if he can get a full season under his belt. We'll sort of fly through this one. Ryan Andrews, guys, keep.
Yeah.
Charlie?
Yeah, all day long. good that he had a full season, full professional season. Let's see him kick on next season because we know how good he can be. So, yeah, looking forward to see Ryan hopefully develop even more next season.
Interesting one, this Matty Pollock. Now, I would say I like Matty. I think what you see is what you get with him in terms of his sort of style, in terms of what he'll give you. I actually am going to throw him in more of the James Morris bracket. And what I mean by that is whether it's a loan or whether it's a move on. And maybe this is unpopular. I think another season of him getting regular game time wouldn't do him any harm. I think what you saw at Aberdeen, what you saw at Cheltenham, really solid player at that level. But my issue is if he isn't going to be playing regularly, you either keep him as a backup, which I'm not sure how happy he will be with that, Sam. And at the same time, would you look to move him on if we're not going to be able to guarantee him regular game time? Or do you think we can give him that at this moment in time?
I'm not sure about starting every week, but I think he'd definitely get enough minutes, particularly for playing a back three over the course of a season to keep him happy. I think he's better at this moment in time than Francisco Sierralta, to be honest with you. And like I said, we're going to need depth in that position anyway. I'm actually quite surprised, Jacob, to be honest, that you've put a question mark. I thought he'd be a no-brainer to keep. I'm not sure what you think, Charlie.
Yeah, I'm along with you. Maybe I'm being too sensible, but I think Matty, whenever he's played, was really good this season. And there isn't a world where he can cement that one of those centre-back positions as his own. Sometimes he's exactly what you need in the Championship, like wholehearted footballer who gives their everything. He's going to head every single ball. He might not be able to play at the back, but we saw cleverly kind of make all the players simplify their game. And I think Matty has been good every time he played this season, really. So he'd definitely be a keep for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn. It's not whether to. I think it very much depends on Pollock, because I think from what we've heard about him, obviously he made he put a transfer request, didn't he? And to be fair play to him, because his commitment after that, when he was back into the team, was really, really good. And a lot of players would have down tools. The only thing I worry about with him is if we're not going to give him the regular game time, is he happy to stay as a backup? That's my point. If he's not happy to stay as a backup, then I would move him on, because I don't think there's any point of having a player there who's not going to be content with that option. But I think I would keep him happily as a backup. I don't think he'd be my first name on the team sheet. It's just whether he's happy with that is probably my position on it. But I think for now we'll put him in to keep with Matty Pollock. I thought the back end of last season he looked really solid. There is probably slight concerns over his pace. I think when you get him on the turn, in the air, no problems at all. But I do feel like sometimes if we play a high line, teams will target that. And when you put him next to Hoot, who's also not rapid either, you could be in a bit of trouble.
I think saying that though, Jacob, you touched on it before, and I think Charlie did as well. But one thing that I've been impressed with Tom Cleverley is he's recognised players' weaknesses, and I think he's adjusted and built combinations to sort of support that, if that makes sense. So, for example, we know that Matty Pollock's not the quickest, but by having that support in a back three, I think we've been able to see that he's been protected by that. So, yeah, I think definitely keep him to have it in and around the squad, if not even if not starting, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. We'll put him in to keep. Big up to Matty, friend of the channel as well. Obviously, it wasn't anything. What's the word? It's not
panic, Jacob.
No, you know what? Yeah, panicking. I'm going to lose my job. No, I was. No, it was more just like there was just slight concerns when I look at sort of the dynamic of the defensive. If we're keeping Sierralta, we're keeping Hoot, we're keeping Pollock, we're keeping Porteous. We're not exactly blessed with a lot of pace in that back line. It's just a bit of a concern for me. I think it's something that we do need to target when we go forward if we are going to bring in another centre back. So that's one to look forward to. We move on to the next player, which is Tom Ince, who was Sam's player, was predicted to be the player of the 23-24 season. Sam, where are you putting him into this situation?
Run it back. My 2024-2025 player of the season and top scorer. No, I'd sell Tom Ince, to be honest. Is he out of contract anyway? I'm not sure.
He's got one more year.
One more year, yeah. Just sell if we can, to be honest with you. Yeah, we can use that squad space for even someone younger.
Jacob, ruthless, straight in there.
Yeah, I think it's no brainer. No, Charlie.
He's going to be on big wages as well, I imagine. We didn't pay much for him because we got him on a release clause. So if we can get our money back, I agree. Yeah, a bit disappointed with him, to be honest, last season. He didn't have too many opportunities, but when he did, I didn't think he did enough to warrant more game time.
Tom Ince, a definite sell for all three of us. Moving on to Jake Livermore. And as we mentioned at the top of the show with Ben Hamer and Conswater Reading, it looks like him and Jake Livermore, Constantly Warns, are going to be released by the football club. And I don't think I really have a problem with Livermore leaving, if I'm honest, lads. I think when I look at his... do you know what? As an emergency signing, I have to say it's worked out pretty well in terms of what he brought last season, particularly for the first half of it, I thought, when he came into the team. But Sam, when you bear in mind that he is 34, he's turning 35 in November, we signed him we signed him for a year deal, so we would have to extend it for another year. If we do extend it, even for 1 or 2, we're not going to have much sell-on value. Do you have any objections to him being let go?
No, definitely not. I think it's clear as well that Tom Cleverley didn't rate him either, giving the likes of Jack Greaves minutes over him. I think it was clear it was a Valerian Ismail signing as well. Those two worked together at West Brom. And I have really, really liked Jake Livermore. Jacob, I know you called it, but he proved me wrong and proved a lot of Watford fans wrong with the way that he was able to offer something throughout the season. But I think, unfortunately, we should be looking a bit like Tom Ince to bring in someone a bit more youthful and someone who can play more minutes throughout the season.
When we say sell, Charlie, we are saying released. But
yeah, we'll show at the end. While we've been doing this, I've been updating the squad depth. That will be if we according to this. So stick around to the end to see kind of what the squad depth will look like. But in my head, I had maybe just give Jake another year for that experience, and maybe if he is doing his coaching badges, something that he could see what Tom done. We don't know behind the scenes, but again, I just worry about the lack of leadership. And I thought he was really good for us last season. So if that was something that he'd want, maybe not as much minutes, but maybe he could concentrate on his coaching and just helping around the place. I wouldn't hate it giving him another year. But yeah, you two have said we'd not offer him, so we'll move on.
Is there a slight concern when we all touched upon it in the squad depth section of the video? Is there a concern, lads, about the lack of leaders, natural leaders in this Watford squad at this moment in time? When we look at some of the players that we've kept as well, I wouldn't say unless some of the younger players step up, like a Pollock, for example, or, we have a Hoot who's naturally our captain, Batman, who was a captain. We do look light in terms of experience and leadership at this moment in time, Sam.
Yeah, we do. And that's another area that's going to have to be addressed this summer. I mean, obviously we'll look at it at the end, but the squad it's looking worrying. I can't lie, going into the transfer window.
Okay, we move on to Ismail Kone. This is a fascinating one, actually.
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
You know, we will do the predictions as well. Sam will predict us to finish 16th as a slight sort of downgrade on his 15 prediction last season. But I wanted to touch on Ismail Kone, Charlie, and I think you're the best person to start on Ismail. So when you look at his situation, and that's one that I've said many a time, so take a shot on it every time I say situation. But his value, according to Transfermarkt, is 11 million euros. He is 21 years of age. His contract runs out in 2027. He is one of, if not the saleable asset for Watford, alongside Yasser Asprilla. And when you take that all into consideration, Charlie, where does he fit in on keep, sell, or loan?
He's a keep for me. I love Kone. I don't think we're near the money that we can get. And there's an argument about, we'll get to Yasser Asprilla. Do we have to sell one? And I haven't done the research, to be honest, and maybe people in the comments can help us, but I don't know how financially we have to sell. I don't know if that is absolutely necessary. And I just think he's one of our most talented players. He's done 1.5 seasons with us. There has been improvement. I think if we get 10 million for him and we paid 8 million for him, is it worth it? Whereas I think if he had another full championship, knows what it's about, he could be one of the best players in the championship next season, in my opinion, because of that talent that he's got, if he's in the right environment.
So my question is, Charlie, when you think about the situation Watford are in, and we've mentioned about what Tom Cleverley said about we will have to dip into the loan market and be clever with our recruitment. And this is by no means saying if we sold him, we'd get that money to reinvest, but a portion of it would be reinvested, I think, if we think of sort of the odds of it. If you said to me that we'd get £10 million for Ismail Kone and some of, let's say, 3 or 4 million of that is invested back into the squad, would you be tempted to take that deal?
No, because like what's the saying? Just getting someone like we know what we've got with him, and I just think he's a super talented player who's got a really high ceiling, and I'd love to see him play for us next season and improve again, and then we'd get 20 million or 25 million the season after. We're kind of saying, if we get rid of Kone but bring in someone for what, 2 million, 3 million, like who? And like we're talking about leaders as well, and I've kind of in the back of my head thinking about players who we can sign, but what leaders are we going to be able to sign like for only 2 million? I can't see it personally. So it'd be a keep for me, but what are you two going for?
In an ideal world, I'd keep him.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, do you know what, Charlie? He goes into keep for me, but I actually think he will leave the summer. And that's my prediction. Sam?
Yeah, I think keep, but it wouldn't surprise me if he left.
Well, why do you think he's going to go?
I just think when you look at sort of the club situation at this moment, Charlie, with Asprilla, with Kone, and you think of our most saleable assets, and whether we need to sell is another question. We don't know the finances. I just think if a decent offer comes in for Kone, he's 21, you're paying a lot for potential. The cynic in some people would argue, has he been that consistent this season? Even though for me, I love watching Kone. I think he's another full season with him. I think he'd go on leaps and bounds, but he did very much have ups and downs in his form. And if a decent offer comes in, some would argue it'd be a good bit of business to cash in. But I think we should keep him. And even I honestly would not be surprised if he made a move to Udinese or we moved him on to, if Asprilla went there as well, to be fair, just because of the way we're operating. But we're going to go with keep for Ismail Kone. We all agreed on that one in an ideal world, but definitely want to keep an eye on going forward. Charlie, you might have to delete some of the names here. For some reason, I've tried to delete them and they're just all over the shop. Sam, Ken Simmer, King Ken.
Oh, Heart says keep. I love Ken. Head. Time to move on, to be honest.
Oh, goodness me.
I think he's lost a yard, to be honest with you.
You've just ruined my Sunday, mate.
And I think it's with a heavy heart. I love Ken. But yeah, I just think he's lost a yard of pace. Is he out of contract or he's got another year left? I think
2025.
2025, so he's got a year left. And I think we could make a small fee from him. I want to keep him.
So you're going to sell, Sam. What's your final answer? Who wants to be a millionaire?
I'll go with sell, I think.
Goodness me. Chris Tarrant here.
I love Ken, though. This isn't because I think he's a bad player, but I'd move him on.
It's do you know what? It's an early hot take, Sam. It is literally, the season hasn't even started yet. And the hot takes are flying in. But, Charlie, does Sam have a point? Has there been a drop off in his performances? There has been a few injuries. I mean, Charlie's left speechless here.
Yeah, no, I've had in games where he's got a run of games and hasn't done much and kind of gone, because everyone loves him so much, he doesn't get the criticism maybe he deserves sometimes. But I just think we know what he's about. I thought he looked pretty good when he came back from injury. We know he's tried and trusted. We're not going to get any kind of fee from him. I don't know how much we signed him for in the first place. Well, I don't even know if he was from Udinese. He was a Swedish team. Ostersund's, wasn't he? Under Graham Potter.
Graham Potter, yeah.
So I don't know how much we paid for him, but we're not going to get more money back from him. Can play wing back or attacking on the left. Mate, a full season, I like to think Ken would be good for us, and he wouldn't let us down.
So my stance on this one is, if we're looking to play him as a left mid, as a left winger, I would sell. If we're looking to play him as a left wing back or a left back, I would keep. So I think if you play him as a defensive player, I think he still provides value to us as a left back. And even if we're going to play with the back three, Sam, having him as a left wing back, I think makes a lot of sense. But I don't think anymore he's a left winger or a left mid is probably my take on this one. So it very much depends on where he fits in under Tom Cleverley. But if it is in that left wing back spot, I would keep him. And I think it goes back to what we said about the experience and maybe some leadership, because I think we are lacking that at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think the experience is the big one. And also, he's a really light figure both on and off the pitch as well. For you, starting left wing back if we play a 5? Or would you bring someone else in?
What's Jamal Lewis's situation in Newcastle? No, I think don't know. This is really difficult because my heart's telling me we keep him, but my head's saying, do you look to move someone on who has maybe gone past his best in a Watford shirt? It's probably, is that fair in terms of not over the hill is probably a stretch, but he's probably he's not in his prime anymore. I think that's a fair comment with Ken Summer. He's not in his prime. But for me at this moment in time, we're going to go with keep. Charlie, you're going keep. Okay, we'll go with keep with Ken. Let us know in the comment section what you make of this one. Okay, we're about halfway through. There's about 150 of you watching at this moment in time on this Sunday evening. Hope you're having a great Sunday. It has been a beautiful Sunday for everyone concerned with Watford Football Club. If you could leave a like on the stream, subscribe to WD18, follow Sam, Charlie, and myself on our social channels, and WD18 at WD18 fans, be massively appreciated. If we can get to 100 likes on the stream before we finish, there is 150 of you watching. Just click the like button below. It does really help us out and helps us spread the videos to as many Watford fans as possible. Okay, Ken Sema goes into keep, but I would caveat that with I think he's a left back or a left wing back for me. Tom Dele-Bashiru, Sam. This is some really interesting narratives with some of the players at Watford at this moment in time. That might need to go on the WD18 bingo list, by the way. Narratives. I can't stop that one. He's 24 years of age. His contract runs out in 2025, so the end of next season. He's got 1 year left in his contract. From what we were sort of hearing, there was deliberations about a new contract. So with all that in mind, Sam, where does he fit in here?
Oh, this again depends because I feel like, all right, with Ken, there's a year left there and we might not get a decent offer. Back of my head with Tom Dele, I think we could get an okay offer. And if he's not going to sign on, I'd probably sell. I don't think that offer will come in though. So I'd just keep him. I do like Tom. I think he's been great under Clevs as well. Clevs actually made a point of telling us at the WD18 Cup that Tom Dele has been the player he's been most impressed with since leaving the club when he retired to now. So I'd probably keep Tom Dele with the caveat that if he's not going to sign a new deal and a good offer comes in, I'd cash in.
I'd keep if we can get him on a new deal, Sam. Charlie.
Well, yeah, for me, we need to do everything we can to convince him to stay. If that's kind of build a team around him, we saw how good he was under Clevs in that deeper role. Like I was watching different clips and stuff, like him coming on for Phil Foden the other day, brought up in that Man City team. We got him on the cheap back in the day. We took a punt on him. He's had horrible injuries issues. Got on loan to Reading, did well, and now we're finally seeing how good he can be. He can be one of our best players. It's disappointing to hear about the rumour stuff about the contracts, but I think if we gave him game time and reassurances and we can do anything we can to get him on a longer term deal, that'd be a really, really good bit of business because I think he could really kick on and potentially become a Premier League player.
I like Tom Dele-Bashiru. I think we also forget the fact that he's come through at City, played with the likes of Phil Foden, played under Pep Guardiola. This is a guy who can play at a top level if he's playing regular first team football, in my opinion. So I know Greg has said Gino won't keep him with a year remaining on his contract if he won't sign. But the whole point of this video is what we would like to see happen. And I would like to see Tom Dele-Bashiru stay in a Watford shirt.
If you had to predict it, though, obviously we want him to stay. If you had to predict it, though, do you think he'll be here come the start of next season? Because I don't. I think he's one of those. I think he'll go, Tom Dele, to be honest.
I agree. I think he'll go as well.
Yeah.
Like, how much are we going to get from him?
Well, it's not
we
that.
Can't sell all of our players. Like, we'll have no one left.
Well, it's not that. It's not that fact. It's the fact that if he doesn't sign a new contract, our hands pretty much tied because otherwise he'll just go on a free. And the last thing you want is a player in the last year of his contract, and then how old is he? 24. So I would like to see him. I would like to keep him, but if the club aren't going to match what he wants in his contract, then we probably won't have any other choice, really. Which is
how much do you think we'd get from him now?
2-3 million.
Yeah, I think so. Probably about 2 million.
Would you think more than that, Charlie? Or
do
you think we'll get more than that for him?
No, I don't, and that's the issue. Like,
yeah,
with a player that talented, if we just take 2 million, it'll be another big failure in my opinion in terms of that transfer.
Someone who I know will get people talking in the live chat is Imran Loser, Sam. Someone who I know you followed closely since his loan move to Lorient.
What happened in Lorient, Sam, for people who don't know? Yeah, loser came in with massive promise. However, unfortunately, just like Luton Town, got relegated in League One. Unfortunately for Imran. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I think this one speaks for itself. I think Sell not been good enough for us, albeit impacted by injuries. And yeah, to be honest, I'm tired of ranting about him every time he plays.
So his situation at this moment in time, Imran loser. If we look at his contract situation, when does it run out, Charlie? This is one that's evaded me actually. I think he needs to leave the football club probably, just with everything that's gone on. I think there was clearly a falling out with Valerian Ismail that probably forced his hand a little bit in terms of moving him on from the football club. I think his best role is in that sort of number 8, number 10 role. But at times in the Premier League, in that number 6, he looked really good. I'm going to side with Sam here. I think he's a sell unless there is always a surprise package in pre-season, and someone that Tom Cleverley played with briefly in that season when under Cisco and in the Premier League, he played briefly with him. But I think when you put everything in together, we can get a decent fee for him. Charlie, do you object to that with the sell?
Yeah, it's been a problem his loan spell as well. He's had a really, really bad season, has Imran. Like I said, I showed you guys like his last 5 games, all defeats for Lorient, and they've been relegated. So his market value wouldn't have gone up at all. He hasn't got many goals and assists or anything like that. And yeah, I think it was quite clear last season, especially his antics on social media and stuff. I thought the good stuff that Val did do was kind of changing that culture, and I think he doesn't fit into where we want to be in terms of that culture. So he'd be one that I'd cut our losses with. That's a massive loss as well. Like we spent up to 10 million on him. Nightmare signing, really, but I'll just get what we can for him and move on.
Interesting subplot though with Josh T saying Clevs played with Loser for 2 years and was his captain. Loser seemed much better when Clevs was captain, so maybe he might stay. And that is one to keep an eye on, but we're going to go with Sell with Imran Loser. Let's do a couple of quick fire ones that we think won't change. I think we can all agree, lads, Georgie is a keep after he signed a new deal. So we'll put him into the keep. And also looked like a bright spark last season. Jack Greaves, keep or loan?
Keep. Give him minutes. I keep him for now and reassess in January.
Yeah, for me, I think he could get minutes next season. And I'm hoping to see it. Like we saw him come on. I know he played right wing back, didn't he, when he came on against Sunderland, the last home game of the season. But I think he could have a breakthrough season next season, Jack. So it'd be a keep for me. Like in an ideal world with like the squad we'd have, you'd hope that would be a loan to help him develop and get like a full season in League 1 or 2, like Shaq Ford has done. But I just don't think we can afford to do it.
I think the loan would be the best for his career, personally. If in an ideal world, but I think you're right, Charlie. If we can't bring in, it very much depends. I think if I'm honest, if I was going to put him into the 3, I'd send him out alone. I think a full season playing regularly would do him the world of good. But you lads, are you both saying keep?
Yeah, I'd keep him for now, and if he hasn't played enough come January, then I'd send him out on loan for the rest of the season.
Okay, we'll stick with that one. So Jack Greaves, Samuel Kalu, is that a sell?
He did really well on loan, didn't he? I haven't got the exact numbers up, but he's done well. But no, let's. I don't think we should be keeping Kalu. I don't know. I can't even remember him playing too much. He come on against Wolves or side of Wolves away. We're in the Premier League.
His best performance, if I remember correctly, Sam, was Everton at home.
Right, yeah,
like absolute dead rubber.
Everton at home when we drew 0-0. I was also thinking of Wigan away. I think it was last year when we won 1-0 last minute. Zhao header, he came on, looked really, really good in that. I mean, yeah, I'd probably sell him, to be honest with you.
He scored 3 goals and got 2 assists in Switzerland.
We'll go and move on with Samuel Kalu. Someone did also mention just on Imran Loser, when Cleverley was appointed, he did a few Instagram comments where he was really happy that he got the job. So I don't know, that might just be one to just keep an eye on come the summer when Loser comes back in. And one thing to say about Cleverley, you look at someone like Backman, you think of players who were really low on confidence. I think he's the type of coach who especially with players he's worked with, will get the best out of them because he knows them that well. So we'll go Kalu, Sell. I'm going to leave Yasser Asprilla for just a second because I feel that's quite a big one. Edu Kiembe's a definite keep for me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll absolutely go with keep with Edu. One of the more consistent performances last season. Jorge Hurtado, I'm going to go with loan because
definitely.
I feel like the Gillingham loan got cut short and he looked quite bright there, but I think he probably needs another loan just to get some regular first team football. Any objections to that?
Agree. Yeah. Like Gillingham fans were like purring over a couple. I think he made 2 or 3 before getting injured. So that's quite promising, the fact that he could do that in a low league football in his first couple of games. So yeah, full season out on loan in England, I think would be good.
Yeah, huge shame that he got injured because I feel like if he didn't get injured and had that full half season out at Gillingham, I think he might have been even ready for us now. But because of that injury, I'd send him out on loan.
I've just realised when looking at this squad how light we are in some positions. It's incredible. One man I've missed out of the midfield, and he's probably one of the biggest ones. It goes back to our conversation about Ismail Kone, is Yasser Asprilla. Now, this is a man, again, who's one of our most saleable assets. When you think of the summer, you think of the final game of the season where he won our young player of the season. He also did the sort of lap of honour, waving goodbye. It looked like, anyway, I'm not a body language expert, but it looked like he was waving goodbye on the final game of the season at Vicarage Road. I think he's going to be off this summer, even though Andrew French put an article out that the club have no intention of selling Asprilla this summer. Sam, you've got a bit of a theory about this.
Yeah.
Share to us what you would.
I think it's a smokescreen. I think it's something we've seen often in the media. Again, I'm talking like an agent, talking about all contracts like this. But I think giving the outs, obviously clubs talk behind the scenes and not in front of the media, and clubs know each other's situations a bit more. But I think giving the impression that Watford don't need to sell could bump up his price a bit more. Because by suggesting, if Watford said we need to sell Asprilla for the money, then clubs will come in with lower offers. But by saying that we don't need to sell him, if clubs really want him, they're going to have to pay the money ultimately. To be honest with you, I'd sell Asprilla. I think this is where his I think the most amount of money we'd get, because I think we're going to have another similar season next year, finishing mid-table, lower half. If Asprilla stays, and even if he has a good season, we're going to become even more in need of money, meaning that clubs will have to pay even less. So I think this is where his stock is. And a bit like I said with Joao Pedro this time last year, albeit he'd already gone by the time we did the keep loan sell. I think it's time. I mean, I've loved Yasser, but I think this is where his value's at for us now.
I think someone could get a really good deal on Asprilla, Charlie, because I feel like his ceiling is incredibly high, actually. If he gets the next move right. I would probably go with sell because of that sort of that fee we could get at this moment in time. I think it would be the right move. Do you think otherwise?
Yeah, I do think the club, if they're going to play kind of chicken or whatever, trying to get a bigger deal and maybe not letting him go or something, I think that could backfire for him personally as well. We saw visibly how much waving he did and stuff. We know his agents are quite vocal, so they're looking for a move. And I think it could end pretty badly if we try and keep hold of him, or maybe he doesn't go till late on. Look, I think it's ideally we'd want to keep him because he's our most talented player. But in the situation that we're in now, we are going to need to sell. Can we get that 15 mil, 20 mil from him now and then put us in a position? I'd much rather we just did that and kept Kone than the other way around and try and risk getting a lot more for Asprilla and just getting Kone on the cheap. Do you know what I mean? That would be my thinking.
Is there an argument to say that we should try and keep him? Because if we lose him, our squad's quality does deteriorate quite rapidly in terms of Sam. He's the one player you look at who is our star player alongside probably Ismail Kone in terms of individual quality. The game that stands out, like Rotherham away, where there wasn't really much between the two teams, in fairness, and he's just popped up with a worldie. You think of the worldie at Norwich, that should have deserved more on the day. I still haven't got over that one. There's been the ball roll at home to Norwich. These sort of individual moments of brilliance. He's the one player who probably has that in this Watford team, similar to when Joao was in the team as well the season before. Is there an argument to say that we should actually keep hold of him? Because if we look at the team, and I'm looking at the keep, loan or sell sort of categories, we are missing that. And this is not to say that we won't bring in a player, but when you look at the individual quality, we aren't blessed with it, if we're honest, in the attacking areas.
Yeah, I think this is where a decision has to be made, because I equally feel that if we don't sell Yasser Asprilla, we're going to be limited with where we can invest in other positions, such as the left back position, which we've picked up on as a priority, potentially a centre back, a central midfielder, a striker. All of these are priorities, and I don't feel like we'll be able to get the quality that we need in those positions without selling Asprilla. So I think it might be a case of taking the hit in that position to hopefully become a more well-rounded squad. Obviously, we'd have to trust the recruitment process for that, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, and just on that, Charlie, go on.
Alfie makes a great comment saying we don't want another Ismail Sarr situation where we kept on for him for too long. He was clearly unhappy, and we just had an unhappy player, and we were kind of trying to rely on him because we know how good he can be. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think it's the right time to invest. And Sam made a really good point there about using that money wisely to help improve the team.
Charlotte says, squad already looking incredibly thin for next season. Need to unearth some real nuggets and quick. And it does look like we will be dropping in. I was going to say dip. It was like dip/drop into the low market next season. Sean said, this squad is going to struggle to stay up next year unless we recruit some better players. And we will try and cover that all here on WD18. We move on to the forward line. We have been going for an hour. If you could drop us a like, that'd be massively appreciated. Sorry to say it a few times on today's stream, but we have been going a while, and if you fancy it, we massively appreciate it. Quadro Bar, Sam.
Completely forgot about him until this stream. Probably sell, to be honest with you. Yeah, haven't seen enough of him. To be honest with you, he's been here now, 4 years, it feels like, and I don't feel like I've ever watched him play a game of football, so I'd probably sell Quadro Bar.
He had a loan at Burton Albion. It didn't really work out. He's contracted till 2026. I mean, I don't think he'll be here next season, whether that's loan or sell. I'd sell, Charlie.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think his loan spell at Burton was more positive than kind of you suggested. Yeah, he did only score 2 goals and 1 assist, but I think they did quite like him, and I think he got another bad injury. It's hard to tell. Like, Man City wanted him when he was at Rochdale, so he can't be bad. But I think from the evidence, injury record, it's either a loan or a sell for me. I think it would be hard. We'd struggle to sell him, so I'd probably edge on loan. But if you two are going to sell, then
do you know what? He's only 21. Let's go with loan for another season. Having said that, it would take him into his last year of his contract. So I mean, I think probably let's go with the loan. Let's go with the loan with Bar. Mateus Martins is a really, really interesting one, because you think of when he first came in, I think there was a lot of hope with him. Unfortunately, I feel like there was, with the bereavement last season and stuff going on off the pitch, he just didn't find the same level that he did before, Sam. So when you take that all into account, is it a keep? Because I don't think it'll be a loan. So it's basically keep or sell.
It is a really, really difficult one. Is he our player or is he Udinese? I'm sure.
I think he's Udinese.
Yeah. So, I mean,
they loaned him for another full season to us.
Yeah.
So would you have him back, basically?
I think I would, as a backup. I think, obviously, last season, I think we know there was a lot of mitigating factors. I don't think it's his fault that he struggled necessarily. And obviously, since being at Watford, I think it's been quite an unsettling environment. He's played under, 4 managers already. So I think a clean slate could be a good one. And I think he's also a bit of a wild card sometimes off the bench. I know sometimes he's a bit hit and miss, but I feel like that's sometimes quite good to have that unpredictability in the Championship. So I'd try him out for another year.
Charlie?
Yeah, if we can keep hold of it, I actually think he might go back to Udinese as a clean slate. I might be wrong, but we saw in flashes what he can do at the start of the season. I think it'd be a good option if he can have a clean slate, a good pre-season, and start like he did last season and kind of have a more consistent run. Another year in England, so he knows kind of with the physicality. But I'd keep him if we can. I just think he will be one that might go.
Yeah, I'd keep Martins as well. There is definitely a player there. I just think he's, again, another confidence player, and I'd like to see him get a full run in the team. Just didn't look the player that I think we've seen at times towards the back end of last season. Someone who's was doing amazingly well, and this is why I'm quite keen on players like Morris, Greaves, Hurtado getting loans, is because of what's happened with Shaq Ford at Leyton Orient last season in League One, who was their young player of the season. In terms of goals, I think it was 10 plus, wasn't it? I think it was a really good return on his, and the Leyton Orient fans absolutely loved him. They always say never fall in love with a loan player. A lot of them did with Shaq Ford. When you take that into account, I'd keep Shaq Ford. I think he's had that loan at York. He's had that loan at Leyton Orient. I think he showed that he can play, and there's not a massive difference between League One and the Championship anyway. I think he could be a good wild card for us next season. Sam, I think we should keep him.
Spot on, yeah, definitely. But I'd also view it a bit similar to Jack Greaves, that if he isn't necessarily playing too many minutes at the start of the season, I'd reassess in January and potentially send him out on loan for the second half. But for the start of the season, particularly with that early game in the Carabao Cup, could be a good opportunity to have a look at him.
For sure. Charlie?
Yeah, agree. He's done really well in League One last season. Remember, Val played him as a holding midfielder against Crystal Palace in pre-season. It's also interesting, like him and Ryan have been grown up together and through the academy. So it'd be really nice to see those two Watford lads playing together. I think he's proven it now. He's taking the right steps in non-league, and now in League One he jumped up quite high. So I want to see him stay. He played quite a lot last season, right wing, I think, or on the right of a front three. So that could be something to bear in mind. Interesting where he would play, and I think there could be a space there. So interesting to see what Shaq can do next season.
We move on to the last four players, four strikers. Let's do an easy one, I think, to start, which is Toby Adeyemo. Sam, someone who featured very briefly, obviously had that amazing moment against Blackpool at home, scoring on the 72nd minute on the Graham Taylor match day. But it just hasn't materialised, and he's become an under-23 player. He has signed a long-term contract, and he was on loan towards the back end of the last season at Wealdstone. I'm going to put him into loan.
Yeah, I think loan. I don't think he's good enough, but I think another season to maybe get his price up a bit.
Yeah, agreed. Sam, I'll give you the joy of doing Ashley Fletcher.
So he was where was he last season? Was he back at Sheffield Wednesday? Down at Sheffield Wednesday, maybe?
He was, at Cisco brought him in at Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh.
This is. I mean, he signed a 5-year deal in. Let me just double check when he signed that 5-year deal. God, I've lost track of all of these contract dates. It would have been 2021.
Yeah. A part of me actually.
2026, his contract runs out.
No, it's 2025. His contract runs out.
Is it 25? Okay.
Yeah, I'd sell him definitely, but a part of me does really feel sorry for Ashley Fletcher. It just hasn't. His career just hasn't lived up to any sort of heights, and it's just seemed wherever he's gone, it hasn't worked out at all, be it at West Ham. I remember the Sunderland documentary. I don't think it really worked out for him there. Watford, and obviously Sheffield Wednesday last season as well. So I do feel sorry for Ashley Fletcher, and hopefully he can go somewhere, maybe League Two, and find his level there.
He played in
when he signed.
He played in 28 games last season and didn't score once. Did we put a fee down for him? He's got to be up there, one of the Pozzo's worst signings, in my opinion.
I think it was a free transfer because we needed to fill the English player quota, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I do sympathise with him, like Sam said, because like when he was first growing up, there was talks of him being similar to like a Marcus Rashford, or maybe he was similar to Marcus Rashford this season. But you know what I mean? I feel for him, but if we can get any money for him, or maybe just cut the contract so we can have a totally fresh start.
Final two strikers, and do you know what? It sounds really pessimistic, but normally I'm quite excited at the end of the keep loan sell videos. But I'm actually looking at it on paper, and we will touch on squad depth. I'm feeling a bit flat, lads. Actually, looking at this, because this is going to take a mammoth summer for Watford to be where I think we need to be at. Is that too pessimistic?
The season hasn't even started, and all my joy has been sucked out. So, welcome back to WD18, everyone.
1 hour, 10 minutes on a WD18 stream, and we've all lost the plot.
We need to ask in the comments. Send us your positive comments. What's one thing we should be excited for next season?
I think, and we'll do predictions, won't we, Charlie? But I've got a real good feeling about Shaq Ford. That's my hot take. I've got a good feeling. Good feeling, Flow Rider style. Vakoum Bayo, Sam, the Crow. Keep selling.
Probably keep. I think he's better than Rajovic, to be honest with you. I think even off the bench, I quite like the way he presses. I think that could suit Cleverley's system. Not a good finisher, but you know what you're going to get with Bayo at least. So I'd probably keep him, I think.
Charlie, I know you quite like Bayo, don't you?
I don't know about that. No, I do like Bayo. A couple of weeks ago, when you have like all the anniversaries of like the Deeney goal and watching like Vidra and Igalo moments and stuff like that when we got promoted, the comparison to Bayo and Rayo is stark. I'd keep back in Bayo reluctantly. We're not going to get a fee for him, are we? Like, we know he's a good character, good presser. Hopefully, he's coming off the bench next season.
Yeah, agreed. And it leads us on to the last signing, which is Milita Rajovic, who was our record signing last summer. He came in, was our top goal scorer, but I think it's the classic example of probably stats don't tell the whole story about what Watford fans thought of his performances and what he offered to this Watford team, because he's a player who just is one of the most bizarre players I've ever seen in terms of finishing. He's solid. You know, he will bag you goals, but his all round play, Sam, is the question mark. So with that all in consideration, I mean, it's not a loan, is it? So it's keep or sell.
I think I'd sell him, albeit I would say that I think there was a slight improvement under Tom Cleverley. And I think a few people have said there is a player in there. He just needs really like good coaching. I think Troy Deeney said that. So, but unfortunately, I think I would sell Milita Rajovic.
Charlie?
I would be flabbergasted if someone bought him off us. Like, I know Greg said kind of, he scored 11 goals and 9 goals from his, but football clubs do have TVs and they can watch back and they can see his stats. Like, I can't see anyone buying him. Again, if someone came in for 2 million, I would put him definitely in a sell with what I'd want. So maybe that's the way we should go. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to be with us next season. And I think Sam's right in pointing out that he did improve subtly, his off the ball stuff. And if we do play more towards his strength and start more high volume of crosses next season, he could be a lot more valuable, and maybe next season he'll be the big surprise package. But I'd want to sell him, but I think we'll keep him. So Jacob, I'll let you decide where he lands.
Goodness me. Okay, I'm split here because you think of 11 goals last season. He signed a 5-year deal when he first joined Watford, so his contract runs out in 2028. And I actually do think there is a club out there who will look at his goal return and try and buy him. Having said that, do you gamble and just think he'll, as most players do, sort of naturally improve after their first season in England, which we must say? I'm not a massive Rajovic fan. I think if the offer came in and we were looking at 2 or 3 million, I would sell and bring in someone else. Now, there's no guarantees that would happen, but I think I'm going to go with sell Rajovic. Having said that, when you toss up Bayo and Rajovic, and if I said to you, Sam, you could keep one or sell one, who would you keep and who would you sell?
I'd keep Bayo and sell Rajovic. I think Bayo is more adaptable to different systems. I know Rajovic scores more goals, and we're going to have to bring someone in the summer without doubt. A player Wendover's just actually put in the chat is Doumbia, who we didn't mention on here, but I'd probably go Bayo over Rajovic.
There is a good point from Odster who says without Rajovic's goals, we would be in League One. We would have ended on 45 points without his goals last season. Do you know what? I'm actually going to say keep, because until we bring in another striker, we can't really afford to let him go. So I'm going to go keep with Rajovic until otherwise. But I think it's a priority. The first priority is bringing in a number 9 next season, because I think when you look at that Middlesbrough game on the last game of the season, I think that probably summed up this Watford striking situation between Bayo and Rajovic. You both had brilliant opportunities to score, and how many times this season have we seen them? And this is the thing with Rajovic. Although he scored 11 goals, he has missed quite a few as well. So until otherwise, I'm going to go with keep Rajovic, because we need to bring in another striker, and I don't think we could afford to let him go. And then Mamadou Doumbia, who can't play until January, if I'm not mistaken, lads.
Really?
Pretty sure I read something that he can't play until Let me just double check.
I thought he was coming in July and ready to go. I might be wrong. He came over, didn't he, towards the end of the season for a training session to meet anyone. He can play in the summer.
Sorry, July. Yeah, you're right.
Keep
him. Might as well have a bit of fun.
Get him in, Mamadou. Yeah. He's the one to look out for. We had a few comments. So Charlie said, "What's one thing to look forward to next season?" Let's fly through them. Dumbia from Mikey, red shorts potentially. Chatfordetzi. We've had mid-table finish at best next season, Charlotte. That's one positive thing. We should be excited for goals because they won't come often. Luan says we should be looking forward to the end of it. An away trip to Oxford. Staying up. Selling bio. Oxford away. Seeing loser in a Watford shirt. Rivich or Bayo, let us know. Who would you keep? Who would you sell? Right, Charlie, moving on to the squad depth to wrap up today's video. It has gone on for a while, but we managed to get through the Watford squad. Lads, just looking at it, sort of, and you take a step back and you look at the players we've kept. So we've managed to keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 19 players from this Watford squad at this moment in time. And how many are we allowed, Charlie?
I don't know. How big are the squads? 25? I have no idea. But I have updated the squad depth chart. So if you want to go to the other tab and then maybe zoom in a bit,
yes, sir.
I'm going to show you what we're working with next season.
Hold on. There we go. Okay, squad depth.
Oh my God, we are getting relegated.
Sam, calm yourself. So that's 19. That's a squad of 19, according to us.
And what's your thoughts on that,
Sam?
Well, I know. I think relegated is a bit drastic, but I think it's going to be a bit of a scrap down the bottom for us next season, to be honest with you. Particularly if we lose Yasser Asprilla, I think it's going to be a very, very difficult one for us. And it would not shock me to see us. We've seen good teams down there over the last few years, particularly, Blackburn last season have come off the back of a few good years, a few others as well. So it would not shock me if we do end up in a relegation battle next season.
So that's 19 players there. We're allowed a 25-man squad and we need a minimum of 8 homegrown players. Shout out to Lou Wans, who's let us know there. The strikers are a massive priority for us this season, surely, Charlie. I mean...
I was doing this earlier and looking at it, and I'm pretty positive, but this is the first time I was worried.
What are you worried for, Charlie? What do you think? What do you think could happen next season with this?
Well, I just think our recruitment has to be good, and we have to get someone in who's going to score 15, 20 goals. And how hard is that? It just reminds me of like 2010, 2011 when when they were bringing through all the youngsters like the Eddie Ashodis and Sean Murray and Tommy Hoban and stuff like that, because we had no one else. And I spoke to you guys before. I was like, is there any other youngsters that we should put in? But I don't think there's enough for us to go by to say we think their warrant is. We've got Jack Reeves in there. And the thing with me, this looks like if we need 25, we've got 19. And how many questions did we say about Kone, Deli Bashiru, even Rivich, Martins, Sema, people like that? I can't see us signing 10 players. Can you?
No, I can't. And iBedless says striker priority. Mate, it has to be a priority. I don't care how much depth you've got in the front line. As Charlie said, you need someone who's going to score 15 to 20 goals, unfortunately. And we don't have that at this moment in time. Rivich might chip in with 10, but that's not going to be enough to...
Look what Sammy Smodic did for Blackburn and where they were.
Exactly. You need a player like that. And what's a priority? That's probably the best question to ask in the live chat. Defence, strikers and a proper playmaker, says Odster. Can we get some players from Udinese, is what Alfie says. If they get relegated, maybe a few, and they're more likely to give us a few more. Sam says we're lacking wide players too, with the Asprilla and Ince out of the door. We'll need someone at the right, since forward alone isn't enough. Tim White says if Udinese get relegated, I think we get that Chilean striker they've signed, forgot his name. Yeah, I think we need a few signings. But any final thoughts, lads? It's good fun. It was good. I did genuinely really enjoy that, but it was a wake up sort of smell the coffee. We need to recruit properly this summer is probably what what I've kind of taken from this one. Free agent market is going to be massive for us, Sam, when you look at it as well. I think that's almost a priority, actually. Loans and free agents are going to be the way we get around this.
100%. I've been looking at particularly Premier League clubs who have let players go at the end of the season, at the end of their contracts. I think I don't know how realistic this is, but potentially someone like Jay Rodriguez, who's just been let go by Burnley, I think could be an option potentially, but we'll see. I don't want to sound all pessimistic already, but I am worried. And I think definitely, obviously, as fun as it is doing this with you two, as always, I think out of all the keep and sells I've done, this is the third or fourth one. And I think this is definitely the most sort of pessimistic and damning that it's been, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Ian makes a good point as well. We will keep this chart and then compare with what happens before August. I think what we'll do is we'll keep this squad depth chart and then we'll do a video comparing what has actually happened come the first game of next season for the 2024 campaign, 24-25 campaign. But I think that's where we're going to end it. Is there any other final thoughts, lads? Charlie, how are you feeling? I feel like we firstly, shout out to Charlie because he put that all together and it made it so easy for us. It went on for a little bit longer, but I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Charlie, just your final thoughts on today's video.
It's coming home. Don't worry about Watford for a month. We're heading to Germany. We're going to watch some real players. Now, like I said, it's look, we're in this position when the Pozzos came in and they pulled a rabbit out of the hat. Obviously, that was a long time ago. It's never dull supporting Watford. So I would just say don't worry too much about it. Don't stress about it. Have a nice break from it. Hopefully watch England scoring a few goals or Scotland. Sorry for all the Welsh fans out there. And yeah, we'll come back. We'll do some players that would like to sign videos and stuff like that over the summer. Have some fun with that. So thanks for everyone watching because it's crazy numbers still after 120 minutes. So thanks.
Amazing. I know 120 minutes is over 150 of you watching live, which is crazy. We've had a few shouts of players that we should be signing. We've had take Musa Sissoko back, Jordan Zamora from Udinese. He's definitely one to keep an eye on, I think. Willock, put Gino up front. That could potentially happen come the first game of the season. But thanks so much to everyone who watched. That's where we're going to wrap it up today. Keep, Sell or Loan is done for the 24-25 season. I really hope you enjoyed it. And thanks so much to everyone who engaged with the video today and put all their comments and suggestions and thoughts and opinions in the live chat. Make sure to follow WD18 at WD18 fans. If you could leave us a like on the way out, again, for the third time, it's a hat trick. Would be massively appreciated. Subscribe to WD18. Follow the guys on their social channels. All the links are in the description below. Have a fantastic summer. We will be back if there's any breaking news or anything going on. And we've got some videos lined up. So should be a good one. And we will be back in Georgia at the Euros away from England as well, because he's going to be there with Georgia in Germany. Have a great summer, guys. Take care of yourselves. And we will see you next time up the audits.